Well, I'm contemplating putting wheels on the snowblower because of the soft ground and constantly hitting gravel and everything. All the yard is dug up from the snowblower, as you can see. As you can see, all the snow blowing dug up the yard. Now, we don't have much to speak of as far as grass is concerned anyways, but what we do have, I mean, has been, look at the, yep. So what I have to do is put wheels on the front of the snowblower. I can order skids, but they're very expensive. They have nice wide skids, but they're like $35 a pair online, and they are not counting shipping. And I don't have that kind of money, so I'm going to try to make something up. I thought of using some flat stock. I'm going to show you right now. I got the snowblower skids. This is the one that came with it. They're only like a ½ inch right here. Maybe 3/4, if even that. And I brought them all the way down so that the skid plate is about 1 inch from the deck. Now, I've been watching some YouTube videos, and some of the fellows have been putting wheels here, but they put little wheels in here, in this area here. But in my situation, with the ground here being soft and there's lots of gravel, especially in our driveway out there, that little wheels are not going to do it. These are the original skids that come with the snowblower, and I got them all the way down. I haven't tried using it yet, but you can see where it's all chopped up here. It was all bent up, and I bent it down with a vice grip, but it's virtually useless. And what I wanted to do is, I looked at my local hardware store, and they have 2-inch wide, 1/8-inch steel. They didn't have 3/16, but 1/8 inch looked pretty heavy, and I was going to make a curved one like this, but to secure it to here would require it to be welded. I can't weld. I don't know how to weld, and my little 80 amp Craftsman 20-year-old welder, I don't think would weld anything this heavy anyways, and if it did, it would only bang, I would hit a rock and it would knock it right off. So I can't weld. I'll be the first to tell you that. It's an art. Takes years of practice. But anyways, so what I have to do, I had several options. I was going to take this off and put a flat stock of steel. These are 2 3/4 inch exactly spacing right here. From here to here is about 3 1/4 or 3 1/8. So they're not even. In other words, this is 2 3/4. This is a little bit more, maybe an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch more. So I was going to bolt a piece of steel on and eliminate this and have it come down and maybe like an angle iron and come out and then bolt that on. But the problem is, you're coming out straight like this. You don't have a curve. There's no way you can curve an angle iron without cutting it and welding it and heating it. I don't have that equipment to do that. So the easiest way is to put a wheel on this. So what I was going to do is to drill a hole here and put a wheel through in here, and a bolt, put a wheel on it, maybe a 4-inch wheel. I don't really want too big of a wheel, and I'll tell you why. The larger and higher that wheel is, when you go through a snowdrift, that's going to be resistance, you know, for the snowblower to push through that, whereas if it was a skid, it would just slide right through the snow, cut right through it. So the wheel is going to be a resistance to a point where the wheel would probably stop rotating and drag and become a skid. which of course will put a flat spot on the wheel. I've thought of all these things over many coffees, and I've been thinking about this for about a year now, and I've been looking at YouTube videos. So what I think I'm going to do is go to Harbor Freight and see what wheels they have. The smallest wheel that my hardware store has is 6-inch. That's too big. And a mowing deck wheel they do have, but they're like $15, $16 a piece in my hardware store. I'm not spending that. I'm right up to the cost of buying the ready-made skids if I'm going to do that. I need something cheap, somewhere around a $10 bill. I'm getting a lot of gravel. I mean, I'm throwing gravel out of here like you wouldn't believe. It's grinding up the inside of the auger. It's really doing a number on it. And I'm surprised it isn't broken anything in here. Because when I do my driveway, or even down this walkway here, I'm throwing gravel out of that like it's going out of style. Because these damn skids are just wearing right out. And they're so damn narrow. If they came out to like here, like, I'm estimating about a 1/2 inch. If those skids were like 2 inches wide, they came out at least 2 inches, fine. Now, I can get the flat stock. It's about $8 for a 3 foot by 2 inch wide, 1/8 flat steel at the hardware store today. I just looked. But the only way I'd be able to mount it on here is to drill a hole here and here and bolt it in, and it's gonna flex and come right off. You really need a backing plate here and then weld it. Well, I can't weld, as I said, so, and using L brackets, I was going to do that. That would mean carriage bolts on the bottom of the skid. The heads will get worn off after a while, you know. So that might work for a few seasons. Well, anyways, it's in the planning stage now, but I did wanted to make a video of this. And I'm going to Harbor Freight, and I'm going to look around and see what kind of wheels they have. It obviously can't be a large one or a rubber tire. It's got to be a hard plastic or even a metal wheel. And they're all made in China anyways. Even the ones at my hardware store are all made in China, so it don't matter whether I buy them at the hardware store, which they don't have them anyways, but if they did, they'd be made in China just as well as Harbor Freight, so why not buy them at Harbor Freight? You know, it's China, so. Okay. All right, I just got back from Harbor Freight, and I also got back from my local hardware store. It cost me more to get nuts and bolts and washers, lock washers and brackets in my local hardware store than what I paid for these. These were less than $4 a piece with a 20% off coupon. And these are the hard plastic. The only thing is they're a little smaller than I like, but they're 1 inch wide, which is what I wanted, minimum, but they're only a 3-inch wheel. I wanted a 4-inch wheel, but no bigger than that. So they had a 6-inch wheel, but the whole thing is all white plastic and it was thin and I can see it cracking and breaking. This is plastic, but it's like a hard rubber plastic type. I think this will hold up quite well. So I got 2 of these in my local hardware store. The receipt for the local hardware store is about $10. They gave me a discount, gave me $10. So I got these 2, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do this. Now I bought extra bolts. I bought 1 inch and 1 1/4 inch. I bought some extra 1/4 inch. Now I'm going to tell you why I got 1/4 inch. There'll be a big bolt on the top where this is going, and there'll be a small bolt down here so this thing will not move. It takes me longer to explain it than actually doing it. All right. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to leave this thing intact. I was going to originally take this bolt out, eliminate all this bracket, and just get a longer bolt and mount the wheel like this on here. But I decided not to, and I'll tell you why. I think it's quite obvious to you. Is this is a much stronger arrangement, and the distance of this wheel sticking out with or without this bracket really doesn't make too much difference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill, this is 1/2 inch. That's the hardest part, is drilling a 1/2 inch hole in there here, even though the steel is Chinese. Putting a 1/2 inch bolt in, which I've got 1 inch bolts with the lock washer on each end, should definitely clear the top of this tire, this wheel. But I got to remove this. I was originally going to use this as some strength to hold, you know, in other words, instead of just using the housing, which is what, 1/8 inch steel maybe, at the most, if even that. But with this, it would act as a stronger mounting point, because you got 2 layers of metal. But this is in the way with the wheel. This sticks out and it's in the way. So we're going to remove this. All right, the first thing I want to show you is I got 1 inch and 1 1/4 inch and a bunch of lock washers. And the reason is, when I come down to the top of this, when I drill this hole and I put this bolt through, I want to make very sure that the bolt doesn't hit the wheel, and I also want a bolt short enough that I can reach up into the hole and put it in there. And I'll probably go this way. So this 1 inch could probably be the one that I want to use. On the side here, it'll be down here. There's a depression here, and there's a flat area here. So what's going to happen is this, I don't want this wheel to be any lower than this. So I got this jacked up on 1.5 inch 2x4 on the flat. So when I mount this, I got to make sure that I lift this up to me even with the bottom of this skid, which is not going to be here. Mark it and mount it. So what that's going to do is, I got extra flat washers too. There's going to be a little problem because this is not a flat surface here. First of all, let me take this off. I had this off before.
1/2 inch. I take the skid completely off. I might be able to use these bolts too. But when I go to a hardware store, I always buy extra bolts and nuts, washers, and all that, because nothing's worse than having to stop and getting something because you need an extra washer, you need an extra bolt, or you need a longer bolt or a shorter bolt. Now these bolts here, these are carriage bolts here. I elected not to use carriage bolts on this setup because it's easier for me to tighten them, because I'm drilling holes, and the carriage bolts, as you probably know, go through a square hole like that. The captive to hold the head so that the bolt don't turn. So in other words, you can't turn it. You can only turn it when it's out of the hole, it's in, it locks in. Well, I'm not able to drill a square hole.
And this looks like part of the housing support here. So I might have to put the bolt back in here. All right, what I did is some changes here. I put this plate back on, but I turned it around the other way so that the flange goes inside. And the reason is, this wall was very flimsy without it, and this bolt held part of the housing together, so I had to put this back in. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount this way, and it comes right to the middle of the hump if I put it here. If I put the wheel way out here, this isn't very sturdy, and it could get jammed and bend this housing out. Because if you look in here, I had this whole auger came out because a couple years ago, before I built the underground wiring for the generator house, I ran over my 4-conductor 10-gauge wire with this. It broke a shear pin, it pulled the whole auger right out, and I couldn't get the auger back in here. I had to bend this all out to shove it back in and then put washers in here. So I managed to get the auger back in. It didn't damage anything here. So these auger cases aren't that sturdy. So if I start mounting anything on the outside, I'm going to have a problem. So I'm going to put the wheel approximately the same area that the skids go. If you look here, this is where the skid goes, right here. But there's also part of the housing support, so a bolt has to go back in there. And without the skid, you see? See that? So you got to be careful. These housings aren't that strong. So I got to keep my wheel centered in here. Must not go out here. Got to go here. This is turning out to be a big project, which I kind of figured it would be. All because I don't have the money, $35 to $50 for damn skid plates, which I have to order anyways because Home Depot only carries the Aaron's ones and they will not fit this machine. I went through that and they're not wide. They're not any wider than this damn thing here. So why waste my money on something that's not going to be any better? This will be better. A skid would be much better. But I don't know how to weld, so I can't do that. Otherwise, I'd be able to make a nice skid for this with a side plate to mount on here. So this is where it's got to be. This wheel has got to be between these bolts. This is the strongest part. Could put the wheel back here. Also, now I put this on a plywood to give me a little easier work area. Alright, as you can see, I've got the thing mounted. 1/2-inch bolt, lock washer, flat washer on top. I couldn't get 2 lock washers on there, so I just couldn't get the nut on. And the clearance of the tire. So what I got to do is drill a 1/4 inch. This was very hard drilling this 1/2 inch in here. I had too much junk in front of my drill press, so I had to use the hand drill, and it wasn't easy. So what we got to do is drill a 1/4 inch hole over here on each one of these. Now I got the other one all drilled out. I got to put the bracket on that. Alright, here is the thing here. The 1/4 inch bolt, lock washer on each end. So this will be the locator pin that comes through the housing. This side here will have a bolt and a nut on this side. You know, the bolt head will be on the inside of this, and the nut and washer will be out here. So now we just gotta establish where I'm going to drill the holes to mount this. I need a hole for here, which is a 1/4 inch, and I need a hole for here. Now, if there's enough of this coming through, I can put a nut on it. But it's only a pin, a stop, so in other words, it doesn't turn like this. It stays straight. Because no matter how tight I make this, it will loosen up as it hits stones and everything else. So that's what this is for. I couldn't really put anything bigger than that because it was a little tricky getting it in here past this nut and the wheel. So now we got to do some marking. We'll do that off camera, and if we get enough daylight we can finish this. Okay, Now, I got the 1/4" hole down here. This locator pin. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to drop a 1/2" washer in back of here because there's a little play in here because of the nut coming out. So with this washer here like that, it'll be sitting straight. So we got to prick this first. Should use a ball peen hammer, not a carpenter's hammer. Got to prick punch this. And I haven't used these. This Harbor Freight has been sitting in the shed for all winter here. I think that does a pretty darn good job for small stuff. I got Hanson drills. It's American made.
Just make sure I'm not hitting anything. Okay. I'm away from the auger.
Okay, that's a 1/4". Now this has been sitting, it's a 1/2" bit. This has been sitting in the shed all winter also. It's my D.I.Y 1/2". Alright, I'm going to loosely put these in because I got to find out. I'm not putting anything in. I want to just see how far they go in. Alright, that one goes in too far. So that's why I got the 1" ones here. Don't like anything I hate to do is I have to go back to the store to get something. Alright, so we're going to put the washer in here. And we'll put that in here.
Now let's see how much room we got. Oh yeah, we got quite a bit of room. And then we'll put, I think we can get away with maybe a flat washer and a lock washer on the inside. I'm not sure if we can do that. We'll give it a try. I don't think I can get the nut on with both. Alright, so I'm going to have to just do it with the lock washer. I wanted to get a little more material sandwiched between the nut and the housing. Okay. Now we're not tightening that up yet. And I'll show you on the other side.
Okay. You can see the nut is about half on, so I don't have enough room, and I can't go with a longer one because it'll hit the auger. Right now I got about 1" between the auger and the bolt, and the 1/4" is not in the way at all. I can put matter of fact, I can put a nut on that and a lock washer to hold that in to give it a little more stability. As you can see, the profile of this, it comes out quite a bit, but not really all that much. If I didn't have this and I just put the wheel on with a bolt and a, into the housing, when you think about it, it's really not going to stick out any more than it is now, and this is a much better way to do it. But it will cause some problems coming into snow drifts. If the snow drifts are hard, because this will be like a resistance, it'll prevent me from sliding into it. But overall, I don't have that much problem. I can take little pieces at a time if I get into that situation. So we're going to tighten this up now. I'm going to get some, I think it's 3/4 socket and box wrench. All right. Let's see now. We've got to tighten it. Stick that here. We're not going to get a socket on that. What we're going to have to do, this damn auger's in the way. Might be able to do it. Use a box end wrench on that. This one. Now I'm going to put a lock washer and a nut on this 1/4 inch. And see if I can get that. I bought extra nuts because I'm nuts anyways, so I figured a few more nuts wouldn't hurt. And
not much leverage, but then again, it's 1/4 inch bolt, and I've snapped them off before, getting too rambunctious, stripped them off and everything else.
all right, I'm going to do the other side off camera, and I'll come back on the video because the battery is starting to show half charge right now. I'll come back on it when the other one's in because I'm running against daylight here, and it's probably getting around 4 o'clock, I'm guessing. I don't have a working clock out here. Every time I put a clock in the shed, the battery's always dead in it. Okay, I got them on. Here we go. I would say by sticking my finger under the scraper plate on the bottom there, it looks to me like about an inch and a quarter without measuring it with a ruler. I need to be on a flat level surface to do that, and I can't do it on the ramp very well. I guess I could, but I have to chalk it up. As it sits on the ground right now, this is 3/4 inch. So she fits right in there, but the ground is uneven still. All right, I got it on the ramp. The back wheels are on the ramp, so let's see what I got here. There's more than 3/4 inch. All right, I got 1 inch stock thickness, the 3/4 that I had, and 1.5 inches. Inch and a half will not fit, too thick. 1 inch. Will fit, feels like about maybe 1.25 inches. Yeah, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. So, get the exact measurement about right there. So, now this is on a flat surface. If this was on a on the gravel, this is going to be lower. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.